So it's that time of night where like a thought hits me. If I don't talk about it really quickly, then I'm not going to be able to go to sleep. I want to talk to you guys about astrology versus astronomy. I think I'll just keep it to astrology. So for a very long time, you guys know that I have been deconstructing the Christianity that I was taught. You know that I had a non-denominational Pentecostal slash Southern Baptist AME slash but with a heavy like controlling influence of Zionism. So I was raised to be a Zionist, right? So I've been deconstructing all of that nonsense. And part of what you're taught in Christianity is that things like astrology are of the devil and evil. And so for a couple of years now, I've just been as I watched the failings, the fracturing, the corruption in amongst the Christian prophets, I wanted to go and like take a good like look at what other forms of methods of prediction, like what they're doing, how they're failing, what's going on, and to kind of see if there is a line of logic that could be created for like an article or whatever. But one of the things that hit me, and I think especially today, it really hit me that in the healthier forms of astrology, because there's two different kinds. Let me help you with how my mind works. There's a kind of astrology that says I see the celestial bodies, the moon, sun, moon, star, whatever, all those planetary like elements are aligning in a certain way, and that alignment is going to cause people to act in a certain way, right? That's one of the more like that's the one of the more toxic, woo-woo-y, inexact, kind of highly manipulated forms of astrology. And then there are other forms of astrology that are really patterns based. It's kind of like what you'll see amongst any analyst. I see a pattern. I know that this kind of pattern produces, in certain contexts, certain behaviors, results, right? And so here is how our company, here's how your client needs to proceed based on the patterns that we're seeing. You guys already know, like my predictive analytics, I give you possibilities, probabilities, and then predictions. The possibilities being just based on, hey, I just have seen this pattern of behavior, and I'm seeing this pattern of behavior. And it's likely based on this pattern of behavior that a certain result will occur. Everybody knows the most famous one that came about this week, which you live by the sword, you die by the sword, you live by the tongue, you die by the tongue. And everyone got to see that play out. That's a pattern. That's a series of data points, actions that breeds a specific result historically. So with probabilities, I'll even go in and look at documented events which exemplify this general pattern of behavior, like cause and effect, pattern of behavior and result of those behaviors. That's when I get my probabilities. That's basic analysis. And so when you have an astrologer who conducts themselves in that manner, in which they say, I see the celestial bodies lining up in this pattern, right? Here's the chart or whatever. When in the past, when the celestial bodies lined up in this way, we saw certain behaviors. And then from a historical and documented perspective, that those kinds of behaviors were borne out in the world. And you can go and actually look up the dates, times, people, situations that they're pointing to. It can be a very healthy like exercise of just pattern recognition from this kind of astrology. And then even the healthier ones will say, you may see you may see you may see the same kind of events, the same kind of revolutions, the same kind of fights, the same kind of unalivings. And it puts a person in a less manipulated state to where they're like, okay, there's a pattern. I can go and look at like what happened when this pattern occurs over time. And I then can project into the future that I may see that those kinds of behaviors again. And in that context, like astrology can be a less manipulated, full of like flim flammery and scammery kind of method of predicting things that could be useful. And I don't know. I just wanted to interject that into like the space because you do have the woo woo scammers and you do have the flim flammers and you do have the people who are hearing voices because they need to see a therapist because they have certain mental health conditions. And but there are ways of using predictive analytics such as astrology, I would say, that could be it's kind of like when you're an analyst, you're going to use 2 to 3 different methods of predicting what's about to occur. Like it may be one of the methods that you can use because if you're trying to make and achieve a certain business deal, you're able to pull data based on you've charted out where the celestial bodies are going to be, where they are currently. You may actually be able to like throw that in as like an asterisk, like, hey, we're trying to achieve this at this point, this transaction at this point, typically during these time periods. And here are a set of examples. We've got some notations in there. This may be a good time to do this, or we may want to wait 60 to 90 days when this new formation occurs. I thought this was very interesting. I've known some business professionals to do this, but like a less woo-woo, more pattern recognition type and use of astrology, it may be like actually useful and not something that is based on the evils or the evil that Christianity kind of frames it as. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like some people are heavy hitters into astrology. You guys tell me if I'm way off on what I'm thinking, or kind of direct me to maybe other sources of information that could like further my understanding of the subject.